Hello, people of the internet. You could actually probably see my reflection in this tab over here. So that's me. I'm in the bathroom today because, well, I'm going to show you an analogy for camera setting to those who are still struggling. And I actually posted a picture of this on my page, but I probably would it would be more helpful if I show you exactly how it works actually. So I know basically a lot of you are already okay with camera setting, but those who are still struggle, probably this will help you further. And I actually showed this in my past workshop. So this imagine that this is your camera. This whole tab is your camera. So we have a hole in, I mean, the sink over here. So this could be the sensor or the film in the case of film camera long time ago when we had film camera. But I'm not going to use this sink because it's quite large. So I'm going to use, imagine this bowl here is our sensor where you capture light in the camera or the film. So imagine this, the aim for cameras, of course, you need to capture light, right? So the light in this case would be the water. So if I turn on the tap, you have water coming in the bowl. So you have light, okay, or water. So this is where you want to fill up light in your sensor. And in this case, it's the bowl. So let's say if you're on auto setting, normally auto setting in all cameras is aim for 50% gray. So let's imagine, okay, it should be 50% full over or half full or half empty. Depends how you see it. So let's say this is the sensor. You want it to be half, you know, in normal picture or photograph, in auto, it should be 50% gray. So let's say if I fill up this bowl, it's not 50% yet. So we could say that this is underexposed, or your photographs will basically look dark. So if we fill up more than, up to like something like this, we could say this is more than what we want. So your picture would normally be what we call overexposed. It will be too bright, or too much highlight. Okay, now in camera setting, we learn about shutter, aperture, and another one is ISO. I'll be going to that in a short while. And shutter is like this valve. So if I turn it on, you'll have light coming in or water. And if I turn it on quickly, you have less water. If I turn it on much longer, then I have more water. Therefore, I have very much, a lot of light coming in my sensor. So in this case, if you put more water, then your picture basically is overexposed. Now, aperture basically is diameter of your lens, and in this case, in this tab, the opening doesn't change size actually, but in your SLR or DSLR, it changes, or your lens changes. It could be either way. You can consider it as the diameter of the neck, or you can also consider the opening over here. So imagine if this is a smaller hole, actually you will get very little water coming in, right? And it also correlates with even if you open this longer, but your aperture is small, you will still have very little water coming in. And if you have a larger opening right here, this tab over here, you could actually get more water. So if you put a faster shutter, or you open the tab much shorter, then you have very little light. And if it's a smaller aperture, you have much little lesser water coming up, flowing. Now, I'll give you a few seconds to absorb that. So talking about absorption, now I'm taking in these two friendly, sponges. SpongeBob here, hello. And oops. So allow me to just pour out this water somewhere. Okay. Okay. I pour out there, so I won't waste it. Okay. So water. And ISO. So what's ISO? ISO is the value of the sensor or the film that you can, in DSLR, you can change it. But in film, you don't change it. And long time ago when we used to use film, basically whatever ISO you get, that's what you stick with throughout until you finish the whole roll, right? But let's say this is a DSLR and you can change the ISO. So I have a small sponge here and big sponge here. Small SpongeBob and big SpongeBob, right? So this is small. Let's say this is small ISO. Let's say this is ISO 100. So you throw this in, and if you take in water, it will absorb water at the level of sensitivity is how big the sponge you have here. This is, let's say this is ISO 100. But let's say if you have, a big ISO, for example, ISO 1000, and then I have this. So the amount of water that it can absorb is much quicker. It's much faster. So the sensor will absorb light much faster, much faster, and you don't need a very low, a long shutter speed. So you have more water, okay? And basically, let's look at the small one again. Now we have this, let's say this is a common ISO. So the smaller the sponge, you have lesser, fewer holes. But if you have a big sponge, you have more holes. So that actually represents when you're using a lower ISO, you get less noise in your picture. Means your picture will be, it has less noise. In photography term, it has less noise. You will see the quality of the picture when you're using high ISO. You have very large, noise in your pictures. So that's why we normally use as little ISO if possible. Then if you can help it, of course, you go to this so that you can, use a faster shutter speed, like so. You don't have to turn it very long. So this analogy, I'm not saying it's perfect, but it helps certain people. So if this is helpful to you, please hit like. And you're still struggling, put a comment below. And if you feel that your friend, friends that are still struggling about camera setting, you can tag them, and so they can learn about this even much easier. And with that, you cover, basic understanding about photography, and go to the fun stuff, which is taking very good pictures. Thank you for watching.